Today, we're gonna celebrate the most important meal of the day with some insanely good pancakes. We're gonna start with a classic pancake recipe, and then we're just gonna bring it to a whole other level with my incredible chocolate hazelnut swirl pancakes, a savory and spicy jalapeno corn pancake, and finally, some pineapple upside down pancakes with whipped cream and toasted coconut. Okay, so let's start with our classic pancake recipe. This really couldn't be simpler to put together. So we're going to start with some flour, and to that, we're adding a little bit of sugar, some salt, and some baking powder because we want our pancakes to be nice and fluffy and have some lift. To that, we are going to add a cup of milk. Now you could use buttermilk in this recipe, but plain milk will also work just as well. Finally, we're gonna add a little bit of melted butter and 1 egg. We're gonna give this a really quick whisk, you don't have to overdo it, and then we're gonna take it to the stove. I'm using my nonstick crepe pan for this, but you could totally use just a plain old frying pan. That will work just as well. Now you wanna start off with just a little bit of butter. You really don't need to overdo it when it comes to pancakes. And then don't overcrowd your pan. That's a common mistake people make. I like making 2 pancakes at a time, max. You'll know your pancakes are ready to flip when you start to see little air pockets form on top. Once they're flipped, they only need to be cooked for another 15 to 30 seconds. Cover them in butter and some maple syrup, and they are good enough to eat. With this classic recipe, the flavor possibilities are endless. You could add some blueberries or some chocolate chips, a little bit of mashed banana, or even some pumpkin puree would all be delicious. But I really wanted to show you a couple over-the-top ideas. So we are going to start with my chocolate hazelnut swirl pancakes. Now I'm starting with a small saucepan on the stove over medium-high heat. To that I'm adding just a splash of cream and then some good old-fashioned Nutella. Once this is all heated up and melted together, we're going to put it in a squirt bottle. Now the squirt bottle is gonna help us create our beautiful swirl pattern. So we're gonna start by pouring our traditional pancake batter into our pan, and then in the middle of each, we're gonna start by working from the inside out to create this beautiful swirl pattern. Once your swirl has been created, you can treat them like any other pancake. I like to serve them with a little bit of Nutella drizzle and some strawberries for good measure. These next pancakes are a real break from tradition because they're actually savory instead of sweet. To our traditional batter, we're just gonna add some corn kernels for sweetness, some chopped jalapenos for spice, and then I'm adding some chopped, cooked bacon. Now you can totally omit the bacon if you choose, but I think it really adds a lot of flavor to these pancakes. We're gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper, mix this up really well, and then take it to the stove. Now these babies are amazing just as they are, but if you really want to take them to the next level, you should top them with my barbecue brown sugar butter. And that's just what it sounds like. It's basically butter mixed with barbecue sauce and brown sugar, and it is outrageously good, especially on these pancakes. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna show you some upside down pineapple pancakes that are going to blow your mind. These are perfect for Sunday brunch when you really want to impress some guests. We're gonna start with some really thin slices of pineapple. Now they do take a little while because they have a lot of surface water, so be patient with them. What you're looking for is a little bit of caramelization on the surface. So we're gonna fry them up on each side and then stack them off to the side. Then we're going to make these one at a time. In the center of your pan, you wanna start with a ring of pineapple, and then you want to pour some batter into the middle and then out around the sides. You're gonna let this cook until the bubbles start breaking the surface, and then you're gonna flip them. Now you have to be a little careful when you do flip them because they do tend to separate, but what you end up with is the most incredible looking pancakes you probably have ever seen. Top them with a little bit of whipped cream and some toasted coconut. Pure brunch perfection. I hope you'll give these 3 outrageously delicious pancake recipes a try, and if you do, be sure to tweet or Instagram me a photo because I love seeing what you come up with in your very own kitchens. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to The Domestic Geek because there's lots more deliciousness where this came from.